Welcome, welcome everyone to another episode of the Option Menu Crew podcast. Today, our topic is going to be our favorite games of 2020. And with us today is the full crew. I'm your typical host, one of your typical hosts, Ryan. And we've got as I said, we got the crew here. So Mike is with us today. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing good, doing good. We've also got Mark. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. Got a long extended weekend. Got time to play a couple more video games, which is nice.
Same here, yeah. I'm gonna enjoy catching up on a little bit of sleep plus doing some house stuff. Ed is with us today as well. How you doing, Ed?
I'm great. This is a topic I've really been excited for. Love to talk about games, especially ones that I've played.
Yes, looking forward to kind of looking at the year in review. And then we have Paul as well returning. Paul, how are you today?
I'm good. I also have a 3-day weekend, so that's exciting. Looking forward to that.
Fun, fun. Looks like we're gonna have be able to do a lot of relaxing after we go through this episode here. It seems like we'll need it. I don't know why I'm saying that. It just like it's we're not, so we when we were discussing doing this episode because we're all big video game fans and we listen to different shows and YouTubers and podcasts and whatnot, and a lot of people do like their game of the years and things. So we were wondering, how do we want to do it? What's our thing? And we put it out there and discussed like why don't we just talk about the games we've played in 2020, regardless whether they came out. And for some of us, there's plenty of games we played that came out in 2020, and for others, we were discovering a bunch of new games for the first time. So, in order to make sure we had a fun conversation, there's from our previous episodes where we talked about what we've been playing, we wanted to make sure that everyone felt like they had a material there. Plus, we get a chance to hear about what people had played, and we could look back and remember everything we'd played. So we wanted to do that, and there's no specific format to each of our segments. If you wanted to make a list, you could make a list. We're going to state like what we think is our favorite game individually of the year for 2020 for ourselves. And then at the end, we're going to talk about our New Year's gaming resolution. So like how we normally do or how a typical person might do a New Year's resolution, but this is specifically something for gaming, and it's just for fun. We're gonna put it on record and see how it goes, and hopefully next year we'll check back in on that and see if we kept to our resolution or not. But just something fun for us to discuss there, and it doesn't matter if it's realistic or not, but you know. So, starting us off today, Mike is going to go over his favorite games of 2020, what he's played, how he felt, etc. And that could be positive or negative. So, Mike, take it away.
All right. So I kind of made like a little list here.
Mm-hmm.
My top like 5 favorite games that I played this year. So number 1, I put or actually I'll start with number 5 to build up the hype.
Mm-hmm.
So at number 5, I have the Spyro Reignited trilogy. I know I've talked about that a few times. I played through all 3 of those this year. Then number 4, I put Animal Crossing, New Horizons.
Okay.
Number 3, I put Jedi Fallen Order. Number 2, I put Spider Man, the original one on PlayStation 4. And at number 1, I put Star Wars Squadrons. I put that at number 1 because I felt like the virtual reality was really immersive. It like felt like I was really like flying around with flying around and shooting stuff. It felt like I was actually a pilot. But I thought that was cool and a different experience that I've never really had before. So those were my top 5. And for like honorable mentions, I also played through Marvel's Avengers, Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3, and Kirby Star Allies. Yeah, so overall, I think it was a pretty good year for gaming, and also played a lot of multiplayer games, so like Super Smash and Mario Kart, some Mario Tennis. But this was all done online versus in the past where it's been mostly in person, which was kind of a different experience for me. So I don't know if anyone had any questions.
Yeah, that's you're a big Star Wars fan, so I'm not really surprised that a number one ended up being there. I am a little shocked that Jedi Fallen Order was under Spider-Man, but I would agree with you that Spider-Man PS4 is a better game. So just for one question for clarification, the Squadrons, can you just say for our listeners which platform you played it on?
Oh, I played it on PS4 with the PSVR headset. So like, it's still a really good game even without the headset, but that's what I think made it number one for me at least. And it wasn't a long game to play through either.
Yeah, cool. It's just that there are a couple different VR solutions right now, so for our listeners just to know where you're coming from, I think that'd be good, and also for us as well. So that's really cool that a PlayStation VR game actually took your top spot there. And this is more for fun there, but number five, you said it's the Spyro trilogy. So within that
Yeah.
trilogy, how would you rank your favorites between one, two, and three for Spyro?
So I would probably have to put number two, Ripto's Rage, as my favorite,
Okay.
and then Spyro 3 because it had a little bit more. You could play as other characters, and it was, the series had already been like well defined before. And then last, I would put number one because even when I was growing up, I never owned. Like I think I played it at a friend's house, but I never owned the first one, and that was actually the first one that I played through, and I don't know, it just isn't as good as two or three to me. Year of the Dragon and Ripto's Rage.
I
Mm,
don't think that's uncommon. Most games I think have a lot of room to improve, at least in the first sequel, especially when they try out something new.
Yeah, for sure.
very cool. Now you own multiple platforms there, so mainly PlayStation 4 and Switch. Which console do you think you spent more time on this year?
Uh, I think probably the Switch actually because of the multiplayer games and because of Animal Crossing, which I kind of like burnt out of it because I played it so much the first 3 months. It was just like, that was what I was playing like nonstop, and it's not really like a game where you have to like worry about, like, you don't have to like go through levels or anything like that. It's kind of like free form, but and like going to other people's islands and stuff like that. So I think that, and combined with like our Mario Kart nights, I think that those were like where I got the most hours. But probably as far as like single player games go, it would probably be the PS4 because that's where I played Fallen Order, Spider Man, Squadrons, Marvel's Avengers, and
Okay.
yeah, like I even enjoyed Marvel's Avengers more for the story and the gameplay. Like, but it was still cool to play as like my favorite superheroes and stuff. So
I agree. I
yeah,
also played Marvel's Avengers, and the single player is definitely not as disappointing as just the after stuff, I should say, because the game was supposed to have all these updates, and those have been pushed back for numerous reasons. Although we did just get Kate Bishop recently,
did we get
so
Hawkeye yet or not yet?
I think he's a little further out still.
Okay.
Has Spider-Man made it to the PS4 version? I know he was supposed to be an exclusive.
No, they haven't even
No.
shown any information yet.
Oh,
Yeah. I wonder if the game will. I wonder if they'll even. I guess if they made a deal, they have to honor it.
Yeah, or give the money back, I guess. I feel like because the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series versions haven't been developed yet, I feel like they're gonna do like a big repackage update, and that's probably when they're timing it for. So PS5 will do like a big marketing push with Spider-Man. That's my guess.
Yeah, the DLC would be cool to try.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I had a lot of fun, and since I was playing with a couple of friends, one of my buddies got like a really crazy bug where it completely botched his character progression because he couldn't like access the marketplace and stuff like that, and it ended up affecting his gear and he couldn't see the loot he was picking up. So it just literally ruined the game for him for like the post story mode. So he was super disappointed and just waiting for a major fix. And despite all the patches right now, like over the last couple patches, nothing fixed it, or it will fix it for one session, and then all of a sudden it would break again. So he's just kind of waiting for the next real big content drop, like the Black Panther content or like another story expansion, and then see what happens, and we'll revisit it there.
Yeah, that stinks that that happened to him. The game, I think you can play all the DLC like on single player, right? You don't need to be online to play that.
I think the game still requires some sort of internet connection, but I might
But
be
you
wrong
don't
about
need
that.
like a subscription or anything.
No subscription.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
So, let me just ask an extra question here, Mike. Were there any games you were excited to get to, but you didn't have a chance to in 2020?
Oh, excited to get to, but I didn't.
Yeah. And once again, same thing applies where it doesn't have to be a game that released in 2020. I'm just saying like something you were planning on playing but just didn't get to yet.
I would say Luigi's Mansion 3. Like, I was excited to play or try that out, and I haven't played it yet. It was on my list last year,
Mhm.
and there were several games on my list where like I didn't beat Cuphead.
Mhm.
I didn't beat Ratchet and Clank. I didn't finish the new Crash game.
Mhm.
I still plan on like going back and like finishing these games. It's just Luigi's Mansion 3. I think that would be cool to try.
Very cool. Yeah, I do want to try that as well. I want to rent that on that's on my GameFly queue right now, but I've moved a couple things ahead of it. So I'm with you on that.
I just borrowed it from a friend and started it. It's move it up sooner. It's really fun.
Yeah, I should just start it.
I would recommend it.
All right, Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to mention on your segment for your favorite games of 2020?
Not really, unless we had unless we're going to talk about like future games that we're looking forward to this year. I don't really have anything else to add to my part.
Yeah, go ahead. What is there like top 3 that you're looking to play coming up?
Okay, top 3. I guess. Well, I just got Bowser's Fury, so I'm looking forward to completing that. I'm also looking forward to they're finally coming out with a new Pokemon Snap, so I'm excited to see what that's all about.
Yes.
And they're doing like a massive, like, they're redoing like the whole Lego Star Wars game. They're like with all 9 episodes, so I'm excited to try that out.
Very cool. And just to clarify, it's Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, as for listeners who may not be aware. Super Mario 3D World originally came out on the Nintendo Wii U, and then they added a whole extra mode called Bowser's Fury. That's kind of a like mini extra adventure, or an extra mini adventure. That is kind of like their first attempt at a truly open world Mario game. Yeah, Mike, you just got it. Did you have a chance to try Bowser's Fury yet?
Yeah, I got like 5 of the cat shines. It's cool. I mean it's open and free, and reminds me a lot of like Odyssey, but even more open than that. And Bowser comes out and like changes the whole scenery. Like it starts like raining and lightning, and he breathes fire at you, and just gets kind of crazy. So I've had a little bit of fun with that, but I haven't played a lot.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm interested in getting it. I know Ed's interested, and so we may talk a little bit more about that as we go. And maybe if we get the chance to play online, we can check back in and see how the online was, and maybe do an episode about that. But yeah,
Mike and I can comment on that. We'll try it, but you may be disappointed.
Oh, it wasn't a great experience.
Maybe okay.
We'll try it wired. We were wireless, but don't hold your breath.
Oh, that's not a good sign there. Okay. Well,
also Halo too, the new Halo.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know when that's coming out. I don't know much about it, or if it's even coming to the old system.
We will have to see, and we'll certainly check in on future episodes in that regard. But we are going to keep moving things along. And so next up is going to be Mark. So Mark, why don't you tell us about your favorite games of 2020?
Favorite games of 2020. You're going to start from the bottom and go up.
It's your show. Go
Biggest-
right ahead and do whatever you want to do right now.
I'm going to more or less sarcastically put Cyberpunk as my number 3. Have
Third
not
one's the
really
charm.
have not really spent a whole lot of time playing it. I know the expectations or the potential is super, super high. I am playing it on PC, so that kind of negates majority of the issues and bugs that people have been having on console.
Mm.
But yeah, more or less a time thing. I think I've spent less than 2 hours. I know you've spent quite a bit more time.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm looking forward to. Tough to say it's a game of the year, but it kind of just had a stick on the list because I didn't play a whole lot else. My 2 favorites, though, definitely Red Dead Redemption 2 coming in at the number 2 spot perfectly. Game came out a couple years ago, I think 2018, but working from home, doing the whole quarantine thing, like there was really no better game to play, like to just boot it up, hop online or go in a single player experience, ride my horse, just go fishing if I want, go hunting, do some missions. Like it was definitely my favorite experience to kind of just like mellow out and chill. I feel like there's really not a whole lot of other games that you can just like, zen out in a way. So, and then only last but not least, number 1 spot, Microsoft Flight Simulator. On a similar theme, very relaxing, but there's definitely a little bit more to it. I think Red Dead had a little bit of controversy here and there. I know Flight Sim, when it first came out, there were some issues, but it's completely like flipped the industry on its head. For example, like I've had a joystick for almost 10 years now, thank God. But one of like the industry standing like Thrustmaster Warthog, which like if you really want to get it serious into like flight sim, this thing normally costs like $350, which most people, it's not what they're going to buy. Nowadays, it's like almost triple that price. Like last I looked, they're sitting around like $900. So like everyone wants joysticks, and it's difficult to get into it right now. But fortunately, I've been able to pretty much have everything I need when it comes to playing that game. Of course, first thing that everyone does, they want to fly over their house, check out landmarks. But no, it's been fun. That's my favorite of 2021 or 2020 game of the year.
Flight
So-
Simulator is your favorite, not Red Dead. You said top 2. Which one is your favorite?
Flight sim,
Okay, number 1.
yes.
Well, Mark, I'd be curious to know. 2020, as we've talked about before, was your first real endeavor into the PlayStation world when you got the PS4. So I'd be curious to know what was your experience like with that, having not owned a PlayStation console before. Obviously, you're a bigger Xbox guy, Microsoft guy, but did you enjoy PS4? Did you find?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you like it? You think like so? Do you think moving forward, do you obviously you're still going to be more of an Xbox guy, but do you think you'll still be getting into future PlayStation games and things like that?
I'm going to hold part of my answer for later when we're talking about our 2021 things because it alludes to that.
Okay.
But I will say Ratchet and Clank is definitely on my list of like some game that I would love to play in 2021. The new one that looks great. I think I'm actually stealing the words right out of Ed's mouth, so I apologize, Ed.
I'm so happy to hear that because I'm a huge fan, and it just brings me joy to hear other people enjoy it too.
Good.
Yeah.
That game was great. Like it was a short-lived game. I think it took me 10 or so hours to beat for the most part. Like I didn't 100% it, but I played it enough that I enjoyed it. I beat the ridiculous bosses at the end. They just
hilarious.
Yeah, it was insane. Like smooth sailing, and then you get to the bosses, and it's like, did I play this whole game wrong? Like, did I not mod the guns in such a way? And then so yeah. To go back to your question though, Paul, like I very much enjoyed that game. Have played a little bit of MLB The Show 20, which the new one also is an upcoming for 2021 on Xbox. Haven't gotten into God of War. I think that might be one of my favorite games, but I've kind of been intentionally holding back to play it.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it because I've always been a PlayStation guy back from the PS1, the original PS1. So I'm glad to hear you weren't disappointed. Like you got it, and then we're like, this stinks. Like this console's no good. So I'm glad to hear you enjoyed your time with it.
Definitely.
Always cool. Always cool. Branching out a little bit. You play a little bit of everything now.
Yeah, first time. Got my first sort of modern Nintendo console a couple years back. Now have that on top of the Xbox, but still primarily play on PC. You know, as I'm recording this on my PC.
Hmm.
I think it's just the easiest for me, though, in terms of like accessibility. Like, yeah, pressing a button on your Xbox, booting it up, and having a controller, and not having to worry about drivers and system updates and what voice channel people are talking on. Like, there's nothing easier than that. Hint, hint, Nintendo. But yeah, PC is where I do most of my games.
Yeah.
But yeah,
As long as
I had
we,
a question.
oh, go right ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was wondering, since you picked another like flight type game, is it is that virtual reality, or like what? Like you said, there's like accessories or something for it, or
yeah. I mean, I'm tapping more and more into it. I've been playing this more or less combat simulator like as of the new year quite a bit more because I want like more explosions and destructions, I guess.
okay,
But you can really like people mod, or not really mod, but like people spend a lot of money like with their desks and setups and whatnot. But right now I've just got a pretty basic joystick. I do also have a head tracker, which is something that I bought a couple months back, which totally helps out with like so it's not VR, but it essentially hooks up to my headphones. So if I move my head in such a way, the game will actually, you know, like move my view. It's not one to one, so like I don't have to move my head 45 degrees away from the monitor to see at a 45 degree. Like it's exaggerated, which obviously would be the only way that you could see like behind you and actually still be looking at the screen.
okay. So it can be virtual reality. Like if you wanted to, you could play in virtual reality.
Yeah, I think they've added VR capabilities. I know they either are planning to add it to Xbox or already have. I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be as great of an experience on console. Nor like, I think VR also tends to drop the integrity quite a bit, right? I mean, in terms of frame rates and
Yeah.
Not in
just
terms
like
of
how
frame
things.
rate. VR has to be at higher frame rate in order to be functional. So typically
True, because what do you
72
double
to
So
there?
it
90.
drops the resolution. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
resolutions usually suffer, but that also depends on the kit you have. Because for PC, they've got the higher end kits now, and I think also Oculus Quest 2, which can hook up to the PC. Well, I know it can hook up to the PC through various means. Uh, it is, I think it's the highest resolution one right now, but I might be wrong, and maybe the Valve Index is still slightly higher, and there's certain different aspects to that.
Cool. Cool.
Continuing on, yeah, it was funny with the flight sim that you mentioned that I think that 2020 was definitely very indicative of this time where not only were we playing more games as a society, but people were looking for very specific types of games. And so I'd say like the crazy success of Animal Crossing and then also Flight Simulator, people were looking for that virtual escape, just kind of to get away from the claustrophobia of social distancing and the pandemic life. So it is very interesting to see, that people gravitated in that way and to have those games maybe get more attention than they would have otherwise because people needed a different type of experience when they couldn't get uh, quote unquote the real thing.
Yeah, and an escape.
And Mark, I was going to mention, as you've been branching out into PlayStation, and since we brought up the new Ratchet and Clank, which has now got an official release date of June 11th for this year, so that would be your target date to get a PlayStation 5 by. And I know you're excited about God of War, and so I'm just going to put it out there. God of War is getting a optimization patch for PlayStation 5, so you may want to start building a PlayStation 5 list because I would say some of these games will be way better played on the next gen, and if you are and going to end up being invested, so I'm just going to put that out there, something for you to mull over, because as being a PC gamer, you appreciate, the difference between performance there. So
Oh yeah.
I would say, think about that because I'm also very jealous for some of my other friends who are getting PlayStation 5 late and haven't played the same games I have, where I played like the 30 FPS locked games, and they're going to be able to play them at 60 FPS on PlayStation 5 for the first time. And it's just, there was no way to predict that was going to guaranteed happen. So I would say that that just might be worth the wait, especially it will add value going forward. But before we close off your segment there, was there any games in you said God of War, but was there any other games you didn't get to that you're looking forward to into 2021?
In the past, I think this also kind of touches on my New Year's resolution, so I'll hold that. But I mean, as far as like upcoming MLB The Show, I'm looking forward to Ratchet and Clank, of course, but then two others that I didn't mention. Chivalry 2, which is like a medieval like first person shooter, but
Hmm?
you know, it's not a shooter, you're swinging swords. And then also the Left 4 Dead old developers, they branched off to make their own studio and they are creating a game called Back 4 Blood.
Yes.
I played the beta.
Oh, did you?
Actually don't know if I can say anything or not, but I'll
Oh,
just
gotcha,
say
gotcha, gotcha. That's
I
fine.
was very excited about it.
That's great. That's great to hear. I'm sure they won't be upset about you saying that you're excited about it.
I honestly I hate saying this, but like, or hate saying it that way, but like, I can't remember if I signed an NDA, so
I get you. Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
leave it there.
It might be tucked into stuff, so no worries there. Not gonna press for it, but that's cool. Thank you so much for that, Mark. Next up is Ed. So Ed, go ahead and tell us about your 2020 games.
I played a pretty good variety of both older games that I already owned and some newer ones that I bought this year. I really kind of had to think about this list because there's such a broad variety that some of them weren't really that comparable. So I guess really I took it most from my level of engagement and fun that I was having. I'm gonna go, I guess, from number 5 to number 1, kind of like Mike did. So let me just get started. I would put 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim at number 5. This is one that I wasn't really on my radar until I heard several podcasts really raving about it. Didn't know much about it because it's the kind of game you probably don't know want to know much about before you go in. I really did like it. Story was interesting, but combat wasn't my favorite. And I'll be the first to admit that I sometimes get lost in these kind of sci-fi or really complex narratives. So as much as I did enjoy the characters and some of the threads, some of it was lost on me. So that's probably more my fault than the games, but it wasn't number 1 for me for part of that being the reason.
Okay.
Number 4, and this was kind of a almost the tie with 13 Sentinels, was the Wii U port on Switch of Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore. Turn-based RPG, kind of this real Japanese idol type theme. Uh, wasn't really sure if it would be my game, but it was really lighthearted, kind of fun, humorous, and the combat was something I like turn-based combat, but this really ranked up there as one of my favorite turn-based combat systems. So it's really engaging and just a fun game. I had a ton of fun with it. Number 3, and this was kind of a late 2019, but it also did come out in 2020 on PC, was Death Stranding. I finished that early 2020. And this one, it's really a special game, I think. It's a AAA game that does something really unique, takes a lot of risks. The gameplay is new, but I think it executes really well on what it was trying to do. The story is I guess it's peak Kojima. It's got a lot of weird stuff going on, but it's engaging. The characters were great. I really enjoyed it, and it's something that I really would encourage anyone who has a slight interest to at least try, give it a little time because it's really something special. The last two are older games, much earlier than this past year or 2019. Number 2, I would say, is Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story for the 3DS. I've been a longtime fan of the Mario and Luigi series. I know there are other Mario RPGs like Paper Mario and Super Mario RPG, but I always liked the combat and humor of the Mario and Luigi series. This is probably the most highly regarded one in the series, and for good reason. It's really great, and anyone who would want to get into this series, this would be a good starting place. Other than the first one, Superstar Saga. Number one, I would rank as Near Automata, which that one came back out in 2017. And at that time, I wasn't really playing video games very much. So it was one that I missed. And I got it when I got a PS4 later in 2018. And I kind of sat on it for a while. It wasn't really something I played on. And I wish I had played it sooner because it really ranks as one of my favorite games of all time. And as far as upcoming games go, I am hugely excited for the Near Replicant remaster. Just saw some gameplay came out yesterday. Graphics look great. I think it's going to be fantastic. And I can't, I don't think there's a game that I've been, anticipating as much as this one, almost ever. So I'm very excited for it. I will give an honorable mention to Fire Emblem Three Houses, Cindered Shadows. That's the DLC. It really did something different from the base game. And I played a bunch of other games that weren't necessarily my favorite, and a few that I dropped. But I really feel like it was a good year. I've historically not been a person to finish that many games, and I've kind of taken upon myself to maybe give most games I play a good chance, and if I feel like they're engaging, actually sit down and finish them instead of jumping around and never finishing anything. And I find I get a lot of satisfaction from getting to the end of the game, getting the credits, and having something to check off a list.
That is quite the list there.
Yeah, I made, just before this, I made a big notes, and there's a lot more on my notes that I probably don't have time to talk about, but I put a lot of thought into this list.
And that thought is appreciated. But yeah, it sounds like you did play a lot more there than you used to. And of course, it was strange times last year. So there's that. And you were also part of our Mario Kart crew, and you've been
Oh
playing
yeah,
Smash Bros.
if
With
you
us as
guys
well.
were wasting my time with Mario Kart and Smash, I could have probably finished 10 more games. No,
Is that
that's
really how you
time.
feel?
No, that's time well wasted.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when you said that 13 Sentinels was number 5. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it was that low. But considering that Nier Automata's at the top there, I'm completely with you. If it would have been a game I had just played, I would have been like, yep, that's number one easy. Despite they're very much in a similar like genre in terms of like storytelling, but yeah, Nier Automata's gameplay definitely, at
They
least in my opinion, was there more than Sentinels was.
they both do something with the storytelling that I really feel like is enhanced by the video game medium that wouldn't be possible in a linear format like a television show, a movie, or a book.
Yep. Or at least not as
And
tolerable.
from a critical standpoint, I would probably give the edge to 13 Sentinels just because but I mean I'm looking, my list is from how much did I enjoy it as a whole package, and
Mhm.
and that's where I ranking it.
No, that's completely fair. Like I said, I'm just commenting. It was interesting to hear that based on our previous conversations on it. Yeah, I think I would agree. I'm hoping to play 13 Sentinels soon, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna unseat Nier Automata.
I
Yeah,
would
so
encourage you, even if you don't find the combat 100% engaging, it's probably like 20% of the game, and it is fun enough for what it is. So I know you were thinking like, can I tolerate it? Try to tolerate it, please, just so we can talk about it.
I will certainly give it a try, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, the for your segment here, I wanted to say I know you're looking forward to Nier Replicant as well, the remaster. Is there any other games coming up in 2021, or just even the games you plan on playing that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, there's actually two more sequels to some of my all-time favorite games. There's the Neo, The World Ends With You. I love The World Ends With You, at least on the DS. I actually did try to replay it on the Switch, and
Hmm.
doesn't hold a candle to the DS original, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But that's really a matter of opinion. And Psychonauts 2 is something I'm really excited for because I really love the original. And I mean, this one I've been waiting. I think it was supposed to come out in 2018, then 2019, now 20.
Yeah.
It's been delayed, but I can wait. As long as it is as good as I want it to be, then it's worth the wait.
Is that going to be on PS4 or is that Xbox exclusive?
I think it's going to be the last Double Fine game on PlayStation because that was the commitment they made. It is going to be on PS4, but after
Okay.
that, Double Fine's games are Xbox exclusive.
So you'll need a Series S.
I might be me getting one. Yeah,
Maybe.
and now I was not so certain I was going to be on the PS5 train this soon, but now that Ratchet and Clank has been dated, I'm already thinking now I'm gonna need a new stand to hold the PS5. Well, that means I got to get a new TV. So, uh, Ratchet and Clank means that much to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you did mention it a little bit earlier in the previous conversations. So I was I was gonna be like, how could you're bringing up Psychonauts and not Ratchet and Clank? But yeah, no, that's fair. I'm also looking forward to a lot of that. Our thoughts are gonna echo very much. So thank you very much, Ed, for those thoughts, and we'll continue that conversation. In fact, you'll probably have a lot to say. Since I'm up next, and our list is going to be fairly similar. But when we first talked about this and I started looking back, I completely forgot how many games I had played. So just to give our listeners like an idea, like what it is, because I couldn't even put it in a list and call it a cop out if you want, but I uh, just to give a little taste of the games I played during 2020. Like it was a banner year for me in terms of things I both played and beat. And then I'll kind of break it down into categories rather than a definitive like ranked list. I'll try to pick one though ahead of that, but it's really tough. Like I said, we have been playing. We took a break from Mario Kart 8, but we were playing that like once a week on Wednesdays with a bunch of people, and that's just a time I will always cherish. And hopefully we can still go back to that at some point. And we're still playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and we're looking forward to the next 3 characters that'll be coming out and seeing who they are and how they play. But then things I'd also like I've tried Bug Snacks. I've beaten Doom Eternal. I beat I'm trying to scroll through a list here of Polygon's top 50 game or best 50 games of 2020. And while I don't necessarily agree with their order ranking, it is good reference because I looked through it and I saw a bunch of the games I'd played. So yeah, Doom Eternal I've beaten, and Paper Mario and the Origami King, Resident Evil 3, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Cyberpunk. Let's see here. Fallout guys. I had tried Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Let's see. I've still been playing Rocket League with another group of friends. Also Sea of Thieves has been something. I've been dabbling here and there with some friends. Not super keen on that game, but it is nice to jump in because the progression is super easy to do that. I did try Genshin Impact for quite a few hours. Then let's see. Going
Oh
down the
yeah,
list here.
I tried Sea of Thieves and I didn't like it.
It's got issues, but we might talk about that in a different type of episode there. Astro's Playroom, and while it is like a small pack-in game for the PlayStation 5, it was a very pleasant surprise. Spider-Man Miles Morales was an exceptional game there as well. I'm trying to remember. I think no, it was 2019 that I played. Actually, no, it might have been earlier this year that I was playing or just finished playing. Days Gone. Days Gone. And oh yeah, and then I had gotten the Oculus Quest 2 this year, so the 2 main games I played on that and beat were The Room VR, and I forget what the subtitle is. Half-Life Alyx. I played using a combination of the Oculus Quest 2 hooked up to my PC, and that was quite incredible. I have some complicated thoughts on that though. Let's see here. Yeah. Oh, I played through and beat Borderlands 3 with my cousin, and that was a great time. All the DLC, well, at the time I guess is out because now they are announcing some slightly new DLC there. And then, as I've mentioned before, I have GameFly, so I've rented and tried a bunch of things. Oh, I finally beat Oxenfree as well. Yeah, I just had this huge list of games. So to break things down, games I most enjoyed. Most pleasant surprises. I already said Astro, so that would be like number 3, I guess. But then Ghost of Tsushima would be number 2 for most pleasant surprise. I figured I'd enjoy it, but I didn't realize how much I would really enjoy the gameplay of that game. The story didn't really ever go anywhere special for me in terms of breaking out of like samurai movie tropes, which is fine. There were a few moments that were like side questy and they went and they kind of branched out in the writing, or I just felt like the moment really hit. And I don't want to get into spoilers in case anyone's going to play that. So those there were a few story moments there that were more in the side quest that I really enjoyed, but the main quest I felt was very like, yep, these are the plot beats it's going to hit. And but I really enjoyed the gameplay and transitioning from like more of this like rigid samurai code to the ninja and then the blend of the two, and it was just so enthralling. Even for an open world game, I feel like it really struck that right balance of just enough content with the right design of an open world that I crave, that I wish open world games were more like, in terms of their density wise. And then number one, I'd say for most pleasant surprise was Paper Mario and the Origami King. Considering that I love Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars from Super Nintendo, and the other Mario and Luigi games plus a couple of Paper Mario games never quite hit that, and especially the other Paper Mario games weren't that great. The last one I played was Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, which was the crossover one, and I thought that was pretty good, but at the same time, I could definitely feel the budget in terms of the storytelling and writing and limitations on some of that. But I enjoyed it overall. But this one gave me that same feeling I had back when I was playing Super Mario RPG, and it just really blew me away. The story was fun and just unique enough in this Mario way that, and in ways I didn't expect, that I was just like, oh man. And I'd been slightly spoiled from like podcasts talking about it, but it encouraged me, and when I hit those actual moments, it hit me all over. It hit me all over again in the way it should. So that was great there. Then I want to talk about most disappointing, and I have to say for me the most disappointing game I played in 2020 was Resident Evil 3. And I was just it's not and listeners may have heard from other people that this game, um it's complicated. It's not that it's functionally bad. You can play it, you can have a lot of fun. In fact, its mechanics are very similar to Resident Evil 2 Remake, which is a fantastic game and a fantastic remake. 3 falls apart because they cut content. They didn't I want to say faithfully, but it's not even faithfully. It's that they just didn't even reimagine enough. They trimmed it down. It's almost like an abridged version of Resident Evil 3, and I feel like that was such a disservice to the fans. And they tried bundling in that multiplayer battle mode, which is something that I just don't care about. I haven't even installed it or booted it up, and I don't care. It's not what I want. Not that there isn't some sort of like social Resident Evil experience I could imagine that would be fun, but that ain't it. So that was I put like 40 hours into it. I played it as much as I could, and I still really like playing Resident Evil games, and I'll probably go back and replay it at some point when Resident Evil 8's coming out. But yeah, that was a super big disappointment.
That's kind of sad. Sorry to interrupt, but that's kind of sad. You talked about them kind of cutting stuff down because in the Resident Evil 1 remake and the Resident Evil 2 remake was kind of the opposite. Like they took what was already there and expanded on it and like kind of, you know, built out new elements and new stories, and things like that. So it's kind of sad to hear that 3 went the other way and kind of trimmed some stuff down, you know, because that was, to me, that was one of the highlights of the 1 and 2 remakes, especially with the first remake, was like they did a good job of keeping what was there, not making it a totally new game, but also giving you a lot of new stories, a lot of expansions, you know, new areas of the mansion that weren't there in the original game, stuff like that. So, yeah, really disappointed to hear that it wasn't like that with 3.
Yeah, I really didn't want to have to say that. I was really thinking that because 3 has always kind of had that same reputation where it's like it's pretty good, but it was like a rushed sequel, so it didn't feel all that
Yes.
different. It had its flaws,
I
but
felt
it had
the exact same way when I played 3. Yep, that was like
yeah.
my literal feelings. Was like, it's not bad, but like, yeah, it kind of feels like 2, maybe sort of.
Yeah, they didn't get a chance to flesh out like even from Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the original PlayStation 1 release. It feels like it had some great ideas that they just didn't get to flesh out, and this was their chance to do that, and they didn't do it. And
Mm.
there's multiple reasons for that, and we can always get into that in maybe another Resident Evil episode, Paul, once you've had a chance to play it. But even like Resident Evil 2 Remake is phenomenal, but it's got some notable flaws, and you can clearly tell they cut some corners also in remaking that, not to the same point as Resident Evil 1 Remake, which is still the better in terms of like what a remake is supposed to be. That is the definitive template for a great remake. So yeah, Resident Evil 3 was a huge disappointment to me, but I'll use that to transition into what I'm looking forward to, which Resident Evil Village, which is also Resident Evil 8, is coming out soon in May. I'm looking forward to that. And speaking of like the open world, like I tried Immortals Phoenix Rising, and I'm gonna wait till all the DLC's out for that, but I do feel like I'm gonna have a good time with that when it comes out. And there's so many, and I'll last mention this one because I want to echo is that Nier Replicant V 1.3 whatever with all the numbers
I think
is
it's
coming out.
1.2.
1.2. Forgive me, there's so many numbers. I think they have all of them in there. Nearly.
I gotta memorize them unless I'm a real fan.
But I'm looking forward to playing that because I refused to play the original PS3 version because it just wasn't that good, even though I'm aware of the full story. Love Nier Automata, and that drives me so I'm to want to play and get more into Nier. So I'm really looking forward to playing that in whatever form it takes. I'm also going to jump into Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart when that comes out because I think those kind of games would be up there. And yeah, gaming is I think it's still in a sweet spot for me. There's other stuff I'm still looking forward to and more stuff I'm gonna try. I've got my PlayStation 5, I got my PC, I got my Switch. I feel like I've got all my bases covered, and yeah, it's just been phenomenal. So I'm gonna stop myself there. And Paul, it is finally time for your segment. So go ahead and tell us about
Oh.
your gaming in 2020.
All right. Yeah, mine won't be super long because I haven't played nearly as many games as you guys. I think from I was going back and trying to remember the games I played last year, or at least the games I played a lot of, or played all the way through, or whatever. And I think there was only 5, so I'm just gonna rank them. I'll do 5 to 1, like some of you guys have. So number 5 is going to be The Last of Us 2 for the PS4. And I didn't dislike it. So all these games, these 5 games that I have here, I liked all of them. We talked obviously in depth about The Last of Us and Last of Us 2 on a previous podcast, so I won't get into much of that. So I didn't dislike it, but of the games I played, I would say it was probably the least one that I enjoyed. So I put that one at number 5. Number 4, I have Among Us, which we also talked about in the Multiplayers Game podcast. Really enjoyed playing Among Us. I thought it was a great multiplayer game. The only reason why I don't have it ranking higher is because it's kind of funny. I actually enjoy watching other people play it more, watching people on Twitch play Among Us with their friends and stuff like that. So I couldn't rank it higher because I enjoy watching it a little bit over playing it. Number 3, I have Mario Kart World Tour, Mario Kart Mobile, whatever you want to call it, for the phone. And I know we've talked a lot in the past, and you guys certainly have a lot of opinions on mobile games. But yeah, to be honest, I've really enjoyed this game on phone, the Mario Kart on the phone. I know it has some mixed reviews, but I've been playing it now for about a year and a half or so, I'd say. And I've paid $0 for it, so I can't complain about a game that I've gotten a year and a half of playability out of and haven't paid any money for it. And they're really keeping up with it. I mean, I know that's kind of the knock of some mobile games, from what I've heard, is that they tend to get lazy or whatever. But they put out a new tour every other week. They put out new characters all the time, new challenges, new levels, stuff like that. So they're really, since I've been playing it, they've been constantly keeping up with updates. So it's not like, they put it out, kept up with it for a while, and then just kind of let it ride. So that's one of the things that's been fun to me, is that they keep updating it. And it's a cool game to play every day. I'll go in there, I'll play, I'll play a cup or whatever, and it's really enjoyable. So that's been something fun. Number 2, I have Streets of Rage 4 for the PS4. That was a game I probably played more this year, more in 2021, but I did start it at the end of 2020, so I figured I'd include it. So I'm a big Streets of Rage fan from back in the Sega Genesis days. I love the first three Streets of Rage games, just classic beat 'em up games, and that's pretty much exactly what this one is. They did a really good job of just being faithful to the original games. It's really just a newer version of the first three games, just with updated graphics, some different characters. But yeah, it's just that classic beat 'em up. You could really, what I like about it is that if I don't feel like, if I'm not in the mood for a game like Last of Us 2, for example, where man, I really need to sit down and get involved in this game, get involved in the story and things like that, I'll just play Streets of Rage 4 because you could just go through and punch people and kick people and things like that. And yeah, they did a good job with it, and they also gave the availability once you reach certain achievements or beat beat the game, you could unlock all the characters from the original three games, which I did. So I have all those characters unlocked, and you could play as them. And they have like the old school graphics, which is kind of funny. So if you play as any of the characters from the first game or from the original game, it's like those characters, like super old Sega Genesis graphics on, like with the regular graphics in the background, which is kind of funny. So yeah, just super fun game.
That was super awesome. I completely agree. Like, awesome game all around. But the fact that they did like an 8-bit or 16-bit modern take on it was hilarious.
Yeah, I thought that was really. You played it too, Mark? I didn't realize.
Yeah. I wanted to
Nice,
chime in.
nice.
Like, I wish I had that on my top 5 list. I actually beat that game with Ian on Xbox, and
Oh, nice.
we so enjoyed it. Like, it was so fun, and like just hearing you, it sounds like you said you unlocked all the characters.
Yep.
I gotta like get back into, like, I think we only unlocked one because we only played it through once. I think we played it on either normal or hard, but I mean there were times where like we were struggling to beat a boss, but it was such a good game.
Yeah, I played it through a bunch of times because, like I said, it's just an easy game where you could sit down. Like sometimes at at night, I'll
Oh
just be
yeah.
like, after work, I'm in the mood to just sit down, take an hour, and just play through this for a while. So yeah, I played through. I beat it with all the characters from Streets of Rage 4,
Mhm.
and you get trophies for
Just
that and all
starting.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had some other cool game modes which you could play through all the bosses. Like it's just a run where you fight boss after boss after boss, and I beat that. And then I did the arcade mode, which is where you beat the entire thing without
Oh my
saving.
god.
So that was fun. Yeah. Once you play enough, like you start to get the you know where everything's going to
Yeah.
be, so you can kind of do that. The only one I haven't beat is the hardest mode, which is called Mania. I think you get a trophy if you beat it on Mania. I have not been able to do that. I got pretty far, but it's pretty insane with
What
Mania mode.
what's the modifier? Like
Uh,
what changes in Mania mode?
so you get one life, or I think it's actually two because zero counts as a life. So you get 2 lives, which is less than you get in normal mode. The enemies are a lot faster, like they run at you a lot faster. The thugs, whatever you want to call them,
Mhm.
and there's way more enemies. They just like fill up the screen with
Oh
enemy
my
after
god.
enemy, and obviously they're a lot tougher too. They won't just kind of let you punch them and throw them. They actually put up a little bit more of a fight. So yeah, so it gets it gets a little chaotic at times.
To put you on the spot, who is your least favorite thug or like enemy character? Not
Oh,
including bosses.
I absolutely hate the guys. I think one of them's name is Donovan. They have like 3 different names. They're the guys that they have no shirts on. They kind of have like the
Oh yeah,
saggy pants.
jump and kick.
They're such a pain. And one of the
Yeah.
reasons why they're my least favorite enemies is because they could use any weapon. So it's super annoying because like I feel like the weapons are almost a disadvantage when they're around because they could just take them and use them against you. Like some of the other characters, like maybe could use a knife or could use something else, but as
Mhm.
far as I know, they have the ability to use any of the weapons that are theirs. So that's kind of a pain. What did you have at least?
Yeah,
favorite?
the fat guy that rolled around
Oh
and
yeah,
spit fire.
yeah. Those
I
guys are
wish
pain.
we could play crossplay because that's a 4-player, isn't it? Or no, is it only 2?
You know what? I'm not sure. I feel like it could be 4-player because they haven't. I think they have 6 characters.
Yeah.
So it could be. Yeah,
wish
those
we could
guys are
all-
super annoying. And they made like 3 versions of them. There's the fire breathing one. There's one that like jumps in the air, and there's another one that
Oh,
just
yeah.
constantly rolls around. Yeah, those are a pain.
So that was
Well,
a
that's fun.
remake or a remaster?
It was just a new game.
Okay.
Yeah, so
New-
it was.
Yeah, new game of the series, but like a very
Yep.
modern take with like its roots.
Yeah.
Oh, not modern take. Sorry, more like a retro throwback, but like it's similar to what was it, Resident Evil 2, that like came out of nowhere as like a remake, but it was like a totally different game. Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, so it's basically a new game, so it's like a sequel to 3, or to the first 3, but yeah, they made it very similar to the other games. I feel like they made it a lot like, it reminded me a lot of Streets of Rage 2, because I think that's typically people's favorite game in the series. So yeah, really enjoyable. I'm glad to hear you played it, Mark, and enjoyed it. I didn't know you played it.
Yeah,
It's
that
fun.
that was one that I probably forgot about. I mean, it took me a month or so to beat, but
Yeah.
I was looking through my games list, and that game somehow didn't pop up. So I don't know if I missed it or what happened, but
Yeah, it was a good one.
I am happy that it was your number 2, and I'm also happy. I think I already know your number 1. So.
Yes, my number 1. I've talked about it before, but it's the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, I think is the official name, for PS4. Yeah, that's really fun. I won't talk about this one too much because I have in the past, but yeah, it's just, I mean, I love the Tony Hawk games in general. This one I felt is the best game they've put out in a while. I haven't gotten into too many of the Tony Hawk games since the originals on the PlayStation, the Tony Hawk 1, 2, and 3. I never really played the Underground games or anything like that. And this game I thought was just awesome. They brought back the original characters and added some new ones. They brought back the original songs and added some new ones. They updated and modernized the original levels. It was just really fun. And one of the best things for me is the replayability. I mean, you could play this game forever, really, and not get bored with it. I mean, there's so many characters and there's so many different specials you can do. And it's another game similar to Streets of Rage where, if you're after work, you're just feeling like doing something, just pop on Tony Hawk for an hour and play it, and it's so much fun. So, yes, so that was my number 1. Really enjoyed it. Was happy with it. So yeah, so that's my top 5 list.
Fantastic, Paul. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so everyone here's had quite the year in gaming, and I think 2020 has been like a very special year, all things considered, for gaming.
Good way to put it.
Yeah, a lot of
One way to
positive.
put it.
Yeah. All things considered, it is something where video gaming became very important to a lot of people, or more important to a number of people as well, because it was one of the most entertaining things you could do by yourself or in isolation from, other people and your friends, on top of being also a way of still staying reconnected. Like we said, we've been playing multiplayer on different games, and it's helped us stay connected and stay sane. In addition, and it's also affected the industry in a huge way. Nintendo had a banner year in terms of Switches selling through, and Animal Crossing becoming like the second best selling Switch game in less than a year, which is crazy in and of itself. And
New
then
console launches were hugely successful. I mean, they could have made twice as many. They probably would have sold them all.
right, it was such a weird year. The systems came out, even though we were talking right up until the launch whether or not they'd delay it, and they did. And whether or not that was a good decision is, up for debate. But both companies said they sold out, Microsoft and Sony. And for better or for worse, because of course scalping is still a huge problem with the PlayStation 5s and to some extent the Xbox Series consoles. So that's
yeah,
that's there.
That's a good point. I mean, we obviously, there's so many negatives that we could take about 2020. We all know that. We've all talked about it, but we could also take some pluses from 2020, and I think that's probably one of the biggest pluses is gaming, for the reasons you mentioned. It was able to keep people connected. It was able to keep people entertained. It was also big for, I've told you guys before, I really got into watching Twitch in 2020. That was one of the big things I did, and that was something that was, I look forward to that. There's a lot of streamers I follow now, and it's good because you can give them your support, and a lot of Twitch streamers, that's kind of what they do. That's kind of become their full time thing. So I think that if I had to pick one of the big pluses to come out of 2020, it is gaming and everything it related to gaming. It's definitely, I think, helped to keep us sane and a lot of people sane and entertained in a time where it was tough to find entertainment. So yeah, big shout out to the gaming industry for that.
I think it's always good for the audience and the market of gaming to grow, and it seems like it has. There's probably more people coming into gaming that maybe wouldn't have considered it as a hobby before. I think that's just good for the long-term health of the industry, which hopefully would mean more interesting, creative games for us players. Just more for everybody, really.
Definitely.
And as we slowly return to some semblance of old school normality, some people will fall off, but hopefully net positive gain there in terms of people who have either come back to gaming or have discovered gaming or are getting more into it because their need for some sort of entertainment has pushed them back into or towards gaming. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see also how this falls out. It'll be interesting to see how the industry bounces back in terms of the production schedules of games. We've also seen some really sad, disappointing things, and Resident Evil 3 is disappointing for a whole different reason. But like talking about Cyberpunk and its big weird glitchiness, Avengers similar situation there, and these like games trying to be service that have been probably massively disrupted based on you know 2020 and those shifts at those last minutes there, on top of maybe other things that were outside that. But yeah, it'll be we'll be talking about, I think, 2020 and its effect on the gaming industry for years to come. But I think we do have a lot, and like I said, my fondest memory will be that the what 6 to 8 months where once a week got together with everyone and played Mario Kart for a couple hours, and we having like 8 to 10 people just racing around, hitting each other with shells, and all the crazy conversations we had within that as well. So that
Ooh, and that bitter competition.
we'll keep that alive.
You just ended it just so that you could keep your streak.
So-
Yeah, I quit while I was ahead. I was in the
Edge, you just
I
made
don't
me
know.
realize. Oh, go on.
Yeah, we'll start playing again, and I'll fall into second. Ryan and I were neck and neck in terms of our standings, like who had more wins, and I was falling behind. So I don't know if I can play anymore because that means I will lose my first place crown.
You still had about close to 20 races on me, or 20 wins, I should say. So there's still a decent gap there. And I was gonna say we've got a nice thing here because I'm catching up to you in Mario Kart, and you're gonna catch up to me in Smash Brothers. So
Yeah, maybe you'll teach me, and what is it? I'll become the teacher.
yeah, whenever you want it, that's an open invitation to help you learn some more stuff in Smash. But either way, and yeah, it's been fun. Like me and Mark played some Gears 5. We played some State of Decay 2 also with a group of people way back when. And yeah, I've got Xbox Game Pass on PC. He's a big Xbox fan and also has Game Pass as well, both on the platforms and whatnot, and got some people. So we're looking forward to finding that. We've got me and Paul. We want to talk about Resident Evil more and some of the other games. So I think more of us getting into Ratchet and Clank. I think there's going to be plenty of conversation. So even just within this group, there's been so much cross pollination thanks to this time we've had. It's just it's livened things up in a very positive way in these very uncertain times.
So Ryan, I was curious, how was the new Ori game? You said you played the new one, right?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was better in a lot of ways, like quality of life wise, than the first one, and then the story was also more powerful. And I can't get into more details without spoilers. But yeah, I highly recommend it if you like Metroidvania style games, or as I like to call them, Labyrinth style games.
I played a little bit of the first one, but I never finished it.
They are challenging, so you will have to have some patience and be willing to do some trial and error. but I think it's really fun once you get the flow of it because just moving through that game on top of its visual beauty is more than enough experience to justify sticking through it to the end.
And that's like that's a Xbox. No, it's not exclusive anymore.
Nope. It is on Switch.
Switch,
Not
yeah.
sure how well they run, but yeah, they are on Switch.
I'm sure it's not that intensive. I'm sure it would be fine.
It should
really
be fine.
well optimized. I think some ways they're even more graphically polished than Xbox ones. They've done some impressive things on the Switch. That studio.
I would do some research just to double check, but yeah, that'd be something there to look into. And speaking of things looking into, let's do our New Year's resolutions for gaming, or gaming New Year's resolution. I don't even know how to phrase it properly, but you know what I'm talking about. So, guys, is there anyone here who wants to go first on their and this is for fun, you don't have to keep to it, and we'll hopefully have fun just looking back at it and seeing if we kept to it. But did anyone want to go first on what they came up with for their New Year's gaming resolution?
I'll go first because mine's kind of boring.
Okay.
I don't have a ton, so I figure I'll go first, and then it'll all go up from there. So I'm gonna keep it simple, keep it boring. My 2021 gaming New Year's resolution is to play more than 5 games through their completion. Like I said, when I went through my top 5 there, those were really the only games I played, at least, played either a lot or all the way through or whatever. But now that I have a PS4 semi-modern system, I've been getting a little bit more into PC stuff. I downloaded Steam. I talked about Among Us, things like that. So yeah, so I have a little bit more opportunity now to play some newer games and things like that. So I do want to try to play more than 5. Come this time next year, I want to be able to say that I played through more than that through their completion. So that's all I got. Nothing exciting, but
I don't know. I think there's some excitement in trying to figure out these rules here, because like, can you truly beat Among Us or like Mario Kart Tour? It's called.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you really can't. So but I consider, like, so even though you really can't beat them, I play them enough. Like, so I put a good amount of time into them. I put a good amount of hours into them. So I
Gotcha.
want to try to play more
yeah,
than
yeah.
5 games that, even if I can't complete them, that I could say, like, I've put some good time into these. I didn't just play it and then forget about it. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm aiming for, I guess.
I'm goofing around here, but let me ask, because like you said, you played 5, so technically you need 6. So let's kind of peer into the future, Paul, and it kind of harkens back to what you were talking about before. Can you put together 6 games you plan to play? And you don't have to commit to this, but just for fun here. What are the 6 games that you plan on playing in 2021 to meet your New Year's resolution at this current time?
I don't know if I have that. So
I'll throw you one that's easy. Resident Evil 8 and Resident Evil 3. So you got 2.
That would be my first 2. Yeah, even though you were disappointed with Resident Evil 3, I do still want to play it. Just being a Resident Evil fan, so that's on there.
You need 4 more.
Resident Evil 8, absolutely. Looking forward to that. And that, actually, Ryan, I didn't tell you. I know we were texting, and I was just okay with the trailer. I thought it was fine. It didn't really do much for me. I thought it didn't. I wasn't like, wow, I got to get this game after watching the trailer. But I have watched some of the gameplay reveal footage on YouTube, and I've liked it a lot more. So I'm looking a lot more forward to it now after watching that.
Nice.
So yeah, those 2 definitely. After that, I would say, so these aren't new games, but I have never played the last 2 Mortal Kombat games. What is it? Mortal Kombat X and Mortal Kombat 11.
Yep.
And I'm a huge Mortal Kombat a huge Mortal Kombat fan. But the problem is those games came out before I had a PS4, and they never came out on the PS3, so I just never got the chance. But now they're pretty cheap, so in 2021, I would definitely like to purchase those and play them.
They're also very content complete, and they have like definitive story modes you can play and say, I beat this game.
Yeah. So I would say I'd be surprised if I didn't get those in at some point this year.
Okay.
So
all right, you're up to 4.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me think. I don't know if I can come up with 2 right now off the top of my head. So I'll aim for those 4 definitely, and then I'll try to find at least 2 other random ones that strike my fancy or whatever.
Oh, you
Let's.
mentioned didn't you mention God of War a little earlier? I don't know if you finished that. Wasn't that one you wanted to play?
No, that was Mark. I've never
okay.
actually played those games before.
Okay, that was
So
Mark.
something to think about. But yeah, I think that was Mark that mentioned it.
The new one for
Okay.
Yeah.
PS4 plays differently, so I would say that might be something you want to put on your list. Because even I didn't play
Okay,
the
okay.
first like 5 games that came out, or 6 or
Mhm.
something like that, and I just hopped into this one just kind of knowing cursory information from the previous games, and I really enjoyed it. Very,
Ah,
I'd say it's a very Last of Us style journey, just kind of
Hmm.
but like a melee combat game in like Norse mythology.
that's cool. Okay.
I'd say give it a rent, as is my brand. So
I'll go. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, let's see if we can't suggest one more game for Paul there, because we're kind of at 5. We're not gonna hold him to God of War, of course, but we're gonna put that there and we'll count
Yeah.
that as 5. So what is 6?
Okay.
Because we need the resolution isn't complete without 6. So what?
Spider-Man.
Get a Switch and play Mario Kart with us.
Well, that's If I got
I
a
second
Switch,
that.
I definitely there's definitely a lot of games that I would want to play. So yeah, so
If a
that's
Switch Pro
dependent
comes
on
out-
console.
If a Switch Pro comes out, there might be a lot of extra Switches going around between this group.
It's true. That's true.
So you might have another hand-me-down.
That
Um,
could be, yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to getting a Switch. There's definitely a lot of games on there I'd want to play. That I would, if I ended up getting a Switch, I would absolutely go over 5 games. So
Do we want to start the bidding now?
Or maybe Paul wants to jump on board and he'll start fresh with the Switch Pro just because he knows there's so
Ooh.
much there. So I think
there
we've
you
got
go.
a lot to discuss there. So yeah, what would be if you did have a Switch, Paul? What would be the first Nintendo Switch game you would play?
Let's see. Having had so much fun with Mario Kart on mobile, I think I would probably go for a Mario Kart game. Where Mario Kart 8 is the most recent one, correct?
Yes, Mario
Um,
Kart 8 Deluxe is the
Deluxe,
Switch
yeah.
version.
Yeah, I think I would have to go with that one first because, like I said, I've had so much fun with the mobile version. I've always been a big fan of Mario Kart, so
Okay.
that would probably be the initial one. I also really loved playing that All Stars Tennis with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a game though. I don't know if I'd necessarily have as much fun by myself. Like I don't know if I would just come home and be like, oh, I can't wait to play some tennis. I feel like that was more of a game that I just had fun when we all got together and played it.
Multiplayer,
So,
yeah.
It's
yeah.
a co-op. Yeah.
So on that, let's just define, because Mario Kart, there's a couple ways you could say that you've like quote unquote beaten Mario Kart based on the way that game is. So I'm gonna ask Mike, the Mario Kart master, to define that goal for you if you manage to get a Switch in 2021 and a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mike,
Yeah.
what does he have to do for him to be considered quote unquote beat Mario Kart?
I would say you'd have to beat all the cups, all the and on 150 mirror CC.
Mhm.
So
At
get
200.
through all the. Oh, okay, not 200. No, but you can play through 200. But if you get through all the cups on 150 mirror mode, I say that's beating the game.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yep.
fair.
So that would be 4 like total circuits there, because you do 50, 100, 150, and then mirror mode is unlocked after 150, and it is the same thing, but the courses are just in reverse, which you may have already
if
been
you
aware of.
wanted to do like a basic completion, I guess you could beat it on any CC. I guess if you're not.
Yeah. Can you just start off and play at any of those levels?
On Deluxe?
Can you start off at any CC? I mean, for 50, 100, 150, because I think you still got to unlock mirror mode, right?
Yeah, you still have to unlock mirror mode. I can't remember, to be honest. It's been so
Okay.
long.
So, Mike, would you say a fair compromise would be he just has to complete one of the speed settings, and he just has to go through all the cups on one of those?
Yeah,
There you
but
go.
I'm sure you would want to try. If you're able to get through one, you'd probably want to try the next one.
Yeah,
I
'cause
don't know.
Yeah.
they're technically all the same cups, and then mirror mode just kind of like is a remix type thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, but you need to play through all the cups, and I was kind of leaning towards that, but I was curious what Mike would say.
Yeah, that's
All right.
that's fair. I think.
Resolution set for Paul. Mark it in the
Alright.
books. All right. Was there anyone else who wanted to go second?
Got a resolution.
There you go. Take it away, Ed.
Just as an aside, you guys mentioned God of War. I'll say, as a longtime fan of the old ones, I was a little disappointed with the new one. It was almost like I missed the immaturity of the old ones, where you were, tearing off heads and spilling entrails, and this one was a little too high concept for me, and I really didn't enjoy the combat as much either. So, just my opinion there.
Yeah, I never played.
Everyone seemed to love it. I think I'm just the outlier.
I never played the originals, and I like the new one a lot.
I must be the outlier.
But
as
go
for my
ahead.
resolution, as Mike and Ryan probably know, I spend a lot of time thinking about what games I could or should play, and what games I might want to get, and probably less time than I would like to actually playing them. So I think a good resolution for me would be to try to take a lot of that effort I put into following news and trying to discover new games, and focusing more of that into actually playing and enjoying the games that I have, the few that I know are coming out that I am anticipating. So I mean, it's really a more specific vision of just play more games, but it's almost like a change in attitude and thought process that I think will help me enjoy games more, or playing them more than just the idea of playing them. If that makes sense.
Yes, and I think that's a very good resolution. And in general, it helps because, that's the point. You're just trying to have fun. And we oftentimes get in our heads a little too much instead of just indulging in the fun and letting things kind of roll. So, and I'm still guilty of that in some ways, but there's a lot of ways that I'm proud of myself for getting over that to just let myself have a bit more fun. So I hope that that you find that balance for yourself as well and end up happier on the other side.
Yeah, it's tough because it's fun to see all the rumors. It's fun to be like, "Ooh, I might like that game," or it's a mindset thing. But I think it is a mindset that would really help me enjoy the hobby a little more than I do now.
So are you going to subscribe to GameFly, Xbox Game Pass, or PlayStation Now, or all three? What are you going to do?
Probably none of those right now.
Yeah.
But maybe once I get maybe if I get the PS5, I might get PlayStation Plus, or what is it? Isn't it called PlayStation Plus or whatever?
Yeah, that's
Because
the PlayStation subscription, yeah.
yeah, because maybe it might be nice to get some of the the games, the free games you get with it, but also because it just occurred to me that if the PS5 plays PS4 games, I could leave my PS4 at my parents, and then I'm gonna I need a way to sync the saves,
Yeah, the
and
cloud saves work just fine. I went through all that, so
yeah,
no worries with that.
yeah, so that might be useful to me, and probably PS Plus games would be good too. But maybe I'll get PS Now, maybe Game Pass if I get Series X or Series S. But right now, I think I should just put that out of my mind and really enjoy the games that I have and the few that I'm really excited for. And know that you will always be more time in the future for past games. And there's almost no game that I won't be able to play in the future, whether it's through an emulator, whether it's buying a copy off eBay or buying it digitally. Like, there's almost no game in the world that you can't find a way of playing in this modern world. And that's something I got to remind myself, so I'm not having that, fear of missing out of what if I'll miss out on this game. Because realistically, I won't.
Okay. That sounds awesome and look forward to hearing that development and hearing about you enjoying more video games. So we've got myself, Mike, and Mark, the three M's. I don't, maybe that's a thing. I don't know. We can make it a thing. Uh, Mike or Mark, would either of you like to go or shall I?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Mike?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. No problem. Just wanted to put the offer out there. So for me, with my gaming resolution, I'm still really struggling, and I know I sound like I'm copping out on a lot of things this episode. It's just so tough because I'm constantly trying to practice doing better. Like I said, I've I have Game Pass, I have my consoles, I have GameFly, and I'm trying and renting other games. So, and I have a bunch of different friend groups, so I've been exploring different types of games and things like that. So I'm not sure what kind of resolution I should have other than maybe, I don't know. I should do something silly like I'm just gonna buy less game controllers this year. I
It's a good resolution.
I don't know if I've said on the podcast yet about my saga with the PlayStation 4 controllers, but that might be something where so just to give a little background on where this is coming from, I love getting controllers of the right color. With me being a fighting game fan, I'm obsessed with finding the perfect controller that will fit like with a great D-pad and has this good button feel and responsive feel, but also trying to find that happy medium between being optimized for fighting games, but also works for other games. I don't like really switching between that. And obviously, I play through different platforms, and almost it's impossible for me to use just one controller. Now there are gizmos to do that you can look up there that will allow you to use whatever controller on whatever platform. And PC obviously makes it really easy to just bring whatever there as long as it connect by USB or even Bluetooth and just make it work. So I have two DualSense controllers for the PlayStation 5. I have I had I I've had four sets of Joy-Cons there. I have three now. I just recently acquired from a friend who purchased the Animal Crossing Switch just because that was the only thing available, and I got the controllers from him and traded him my regular blue set, and he gave me the powder green and blue set from there because I liked them
Ooh,
and
I'm
he
jealous. I'm jealous of those.
didn't.
So
So
good.
and then I also have the gray set that came with my Switch, and I bought two pairs in order to get the special electric or lime green or whatever you want to call them from the green and pink that was originally debuted with the Splatoon. And I have my one Pro controller, and I have the one third-party Pro controller that the cord just recently went out on that, but I can get that figured out with other third-party USB-C controllers. I went through like 7 DualShock 4 controllers on PlayStation 4 for a reason I'm not going to get into now. It's not that they were necessarily broken, but they weren't quite as good as some of my older ones, and I wanted to have spares with the colors there. So that's a thing. And then just recently, I had purchased a couple of Xbox One controllers because those were pretty good, but they as they've refined them over the years, they weren't as good. But then I bought, after hearing the amazing reviews on the Xbox Series controllers, and hearing about the D-pad and seeing that it was some sort of new hybrid from the Elite style, but also having this raised cross in the middle, and then people saying it's got a great click, and I'm going to put up to my microphone so you can hear the click. I love that click. I bought one. I caved and I bought one just to try it. It is now my favorite controller, basically for the most part, and I bought a second one. So yeah, my resolution is going to be buying fewer controllers in 2021. Oh yeah, I also bought one of the premium Razer controllers, and I bought like I didn't just buy. I bought like 3 or 4 of them because also Razer doesn't sell their proprietary USB mini cables. They do like these nice braided long cables that have like custom rubber connectors so they securely fit in and lock to prevent them from breaking. But you can't just buy replacements separately. So I bought multiple ones on sale in order to stockpile, and then I've slowly phased those out as I found other preferences from the other controllers. But oh yeah, the Xbox Series controllers. The only thing I'm missing is like from the Razer, I like having the little mid center button with customizing, and then the under bumpers that you see on like the Elite, but not the 4 set. They only have 2, but that's between those 4 with the 2 middle buttons in the upper middle and 2 lower bumpers. It covers everything you need if you're trying to do like first person shooting or a game where you really don't want to have to touch the face but take your thumb off the right analog stick. So even that, it's my new favorite base, but I would still like to tweak it up there. So yeah, I'm gonna spend less money on controllers this year, and you guys can hold me to that. I've only bought. Oh, actually, did I buy any of those in 2021? No, so I'm good right now. I'm currently at 0 controllers bought in 2021. So as long as I buy less than 9, I'm still good.
So just buy 8 controllers, and then you'll be all
Oh,
set.
don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
Did you
Um,
say
I-
you own 2 elites?
No, I have the one Razer controller, but I had like 3 of them at the time because I bought like 2 or 3 of the Xbox ones. Then I slowly gave them away, and I have one when I got the PlayStation version one. and
Okay.
because I was able to use that both on PlayStation 4 and on PC, so I could actually use one controller back and forth between the two. But
Gotcha.
now I like the Xbox Series controller, and I'm using that very often. I have to use the DualSense with PlayStation 5, and then I use the Pro controller or the Joy-Cons with the Switch based on whether it's docked or undocked.
It's interesting. I know a lot of people with different collections. I obviously have a lot of collections myself. I think you're the only person I know with that much of a controller collection, so that's pretty impressive, I got to say.
It's not really about collecting either. I'm trying to find the right one for
Holy
me.
grail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then having other controllers for friends and stuff, because I've got friends who are more like
Yeah.
like PlayStation or Xbox oriented, and having the extras for when things were normal, and having them over and us playing like fighting games locally or like Smash Brothers or other things. That's true. I also have the you just reminded me. I also have the 8. I think it's only 7 now, but 8 GameCube controllers. Oh no, I recently rediscovered for Smash. But I did give away one of my Wii U USB connectors for it because we just weren't playing 8-player Smash that much. So I figured, you know what? Share this with someone else I know is going to play that and they appreciate using a GameCube controller. And I've switched to Pro controller on Switch. I know, blasphemy for other people, but I just got so used to playing in handheld that I'm like, consistency in that format, my muscle memory finally changed over, and so I've settled with Pro controller / Joy-Con style for Smash
Yeah.
Ultimate, and I've been
Well,
weaned off.
GameCube controller a long time
Yeah.
ago.
But I still have the GameCube controller. I still have it just in case I ever need to go
I
back.
think I used like the Virtual Console controller and on the Wii.
Yeah, so
I mean, I
that's
use
me.
GameCube too.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying I use both.
Yeah, GameCube controller has its stuff, and I know if there's anyone that's listening or in the comments that's gonna be like, hey, but they make the Pro controller style GameCube controllers now. I'm like, I get it, but now it's still a different format. So I'm just sticking to the regular Pro controller with all the features in it and whatnot because I think like those Smash ones or those newer ones don't have like the NFC, they don't have like Rumble, they don't have gyro, and so
Yeah.
I'm also trying to make sure I'm crossing all my functions so I'm as used to a single controller per platform as possible, and Switch has all that weird gimmicky stuff in it, so that's where I'm at, and I'm sure we'll check in every so often on where I'm at, but so far no new controllers for 2021.
Yeah, that's a really unique resolution. I was not expecting that one. I like it. It's sounds like you really need to make this resolution. You got a bit of a problem there.
Well, maybe I'll tell the
Almost,
story.
almost as much as my problem of buying games and just not always playing them.
It's a different kind of issue, and one that I'm still searching for an absolute solution to, but hopefully soon that will be fixed. But yeah, that was me. So now it's up to Mark or Mike to do their resolution next, so you guys can duke it out.
I'll go ahead unless Mark wanted to.
Go for it.
So back in the day, I had a Wii U, right?
Yeah.
And I still have a Wii U. So I was playing Super Mario 3D World on my Wii U before it came out on Switch, right? So my resolution is kind of goofy, but it's to at least try and collect as much or 100% Super Mario 3D World on the Switch.
Oh, okay.
But if I get all the green stars and stamps, I think that would be complete enough for me. But we'll see.
Does Bowser's Fury count now that's in the bundle, or are you just talking about the one side?
No, I'm just talking about 3D World
Okay.
specifically. Maybe not like every single coin, but like all the green stars and stamps.
Yeah.
How far are you gonna go in that? Because from what I've heard, there are some like maddeningly difficult levels later in that game. Maybe I don't know if they're I remember Super Mario 3D Land when I played it. They had like the base 8 worlds. Then after the credits, there was even more. Like, are you stopping at the main game? Or are you gonna do every nook and cranny that game has to offer?
I meant the main game, but I would definitely try to do more than that.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Do,
Mike.
do you think I should do everything, like not just the main game?
You should
Like,
try. Why not? You
yeah.
might, I bet you would get a lot of satisfaction out of it.
And a lot of anger.
Well, that's part of this. That's part of the process, unfortunately.
Trust the process.
Well, I
So
don't-
yeah, that's my goofy resolution.
I don't think that's any goofier than what I said. I think that focusing in on one game and trying to 100% it, that's admirable. There's all those platinum hunters out there, and I think they're way stranger in that. But hey, you're allowed to have fun with the game however you want. So yeah, that's a good resolution, Mike, and we'll be checking in. I hope you'll let us know as you close in on that. We'll check in and see if
For sure.
and if you do give up, there'll be no hard feelings. You'll just have to buy us all pizza. That's all.
What?
Just
I like
teasing
that
you,
plan.
but am I?
This is online too, so other people can help me.
But should we? Does that really
Are we-
count?
Do people really
Yeah, it
help
counts.
each other in Mario
Oh, that-
3D World? Because I might just throw you off the edge and take the coins,
What?
the stars
See-
for myself.
That's right, Mike. You were worried about it not being enough of a game, and I told you I could be extra Ryan hard mode in the co-op and just completely mess with you. So if you want, yeah.
Teamwork.
No, that was a great resolution there. So last but certainly not least, I hope he's ready. Mark,
I'm ready.
what's your gaming resolution for 2021?
I kind of have two.
Okay, okay, that's cheating, but go
I'm-
ahead.
Yeah, it's not really cheating though when I tell you what they are. So Halo Infinite, I think Mike, you were talking about that earlier. I'm going to play Game of the Year 2021 Halo Infinite on PC, which the underlying subtext of that is I'm really hoping and praying that it comes out on PC and also is released in the year 2021. And don't do December 31st, Microsoft. But no, my real actual resolution, which is also actually kind of goofy, is beating Paper Mario. I am still at world number 2. We've referenced this a couple times. But it's an easy enough resolution. I can accomplish it. I just need to set the time up to do it.
Okay, that sounds great. And of course, we're all hoping Halo Infinite doesn't disappoint. Microsoft needs to start coming in with the big swinging exclusives for both Game Pass and the Xbox Series consoles. So we're all rooting for them because we all want better games to play, and well, more better games because there's already a ton of great ones right there. It's going to be really difficult for Halo Infinite to compete with Balan Wonderworld, a game that's still coming out and has a date in 2021 when Halo Infinite is, might not even ship. We don't know. I'm just teasing. And I played that demo, Balan
Was it-
Wonderworld. Oh god, yeah, it's Oh, boy.
They delayed it because fans were mad, right?
sorta.
Halo Infinite?
They were mad at the graphics or something.
I don't know if Mark wants to speak to that.
Yeah. So I think there were some internal issues happening, which like we may never know exactly to the scale. I think people were fired or resigned. I think they were behind on deadline, but a lot of the E3 showcase or the Xbox Series showcase, whatever the event was called.
Yeah.
Like last August, I think it was. People just complain that, hey, this is a next gen game, but the graphics don't look like they're next gen. But my case was always, all right, well, you're watching a stream on YouTube of compressed video. Like, what are we comparing? Like, you're not playing on a next gen console. And they took it to heart and they acknowledged it and apologized. But I don't know. I'm excited when the game comes out. I don't really care. Like, we're talking about Nintendo games as well. Like, they don't look great. They look fine, but
Certain
nowhere
games
near-
look better than others, yeah.
sure.
But it's going for a different thing.
I
Yeah.
had heard that the base Xbox One is a challenge for them. So, as much as they want it to be a next gen game, it is a little bit hamstrung by its lowest common denominator.
You think they'll just dump
I
it
bet
on
it'll
the?
be good. They can't have it not be good. They cannot risk it being, a subpar game. It's the reason to own an Xbox. So, I bet it'll be great when it comes out.
I wonder if it might not come out on Xbox, the original Xbox. Maybe they'll just make it exclusive.
It's
The
possible.
original Xbox.
The Xbox One, but based on like what Cyberpunk went through, like I could definitely see that happening, and that they say let's not even risk it because we don't want to potentially downgrade the experience on the other platforms. But I don't know. I'm not a developer. I'm not in charge of any of those decisions.
Yeah,
You should be.
Thanks, Paul.
you certainly aren't. We know you have a rocky game development history. Just kidding. The Yeah, it was always developed to be a cross-gen game, and that seems to have caused a lot of problems. And it is also surprising, I guess, that with that being their big flagship title, that what you would assume is they would show you what the next gen version looks like, and they'd be debuting kind of like what Cyberpunk did, but not with the same undertones of that. Is here's what it looks like on Series X, optimized, fully next gen-ish, and then they'd kind of scale down and be like, here's what it's going to look like on Xbox One, or they'd show like Xbox One presentations mixed in with Series X, and they would, build it at the top scale and then scale it down because they are familiar with PC development as they should, or at least they have the developers to do that. But it just sounds like there was so many other production issues. They just weren't ready. Maybe they don't even know what the game was going to be because Halo 5 was so poorly received that, and I imagine Halo 5 also had weird production issues as well, or it definitely did have some documented issues. That when Halo Infinite started coming up, like they were like, we need to get this right, and luckily they did make the right call and delayed it. Took the feedback to heart. Hopefully they don't do what they were talking about before with like separating out the campaign from the multiplayer. I don't know how you feel about it, Mark. I think it would be, speaking as not a big Halo fan, but as someone who's just looking at the health of the game and having played it, I think it'd be great if they just had a much more fundamental base with like a really good campaign with the co-op as they've done, then have like maybe the very standard multiplayer with deathmatch, team match, what's the capture the flag? Those are like the three fundamental modes, right?
Well, Slayer for their death match, but yeah.
Oh, okay,
King
but
of the Hill,
but Slayer's like the label for
Oddball,
deathmatch, yeah.
Juggernaut. They also have added like a zombie mode, but yeah, they always, I don't know. Shoddy snipers was usually my go-to, or SWAT, one hit headshots.
Yeah, and they have the customizing rules, and they've got like the Halo Forge and the Halo Master Chief Collection now on fully available on PC across Microsoft Store and Steam. So hopefully, what they can do is or tie in some of that, so they release a base fundamental version with the things you expect from the campaign and the basic multiplayer, and then add in and promise the new features. And Link to the Infinite, they will upgrade and add those new features, better Forge support, like a brand new mode. Because what was that 3 faction mode in Halo 5 called?
Invasion?
Invasion?
Or
Yeah.
sorry. No, that's the zombie mode. Oh my god. It was an arcade. Oh my god. I had it on tip of my tongue.
But yeah, so it had like the 3 factions where you had like 2 teams and then an AI team that was also like against both teams. So hopefully, whatever their big flagship new thing, because there's the rumors that it would be like a battle royale mode or something like that. So hopefully they would take the time to be like, hey, look, we're getting the core package down. Here's what it is. We're promising all this stuff. These are free updates for here. Here's the DLC plans as they would for selling, like extra whatever battle pass stuff or whatever they're going to do. And then that way they release it in much more traditional, acceptable blocks of content rather than whatever was going to happen with the current release where it was going to be all segmented and weird. So hopefully that's the same thing for the other games that they're doing while all their studios are coming along. I've played a bit of the Medium, and it is also kind of a disappointment, but I didn't have really super high expectations. It was just something I was intrigued on. So yeah, we'll hope that all of that stuff is good there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for our favorite games of 2020. Did anyone else have some last minute thoughts before we wrap it up?
Warzone was the name of the game mode.
Warzone.
That's about it.
Right, no wonders. I didn't want to say because I like wait, didn't it have the same name as something from another game, and Call of Duty has Warzone now. So
yeah,
there we go. We got it. We got there. All right then. It sounds like we're all set. Once again, guys, thank you so much for being on this episode today, and thank you, listeners, for joining with us. We hope you had as much fun as you could in 2020, and that into 2021 and beyond, that you stay safe and healthy. And thanks again for joining us to everyone.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Have a good 2021.